Oke, thank you, sir. So, sekarang monggo Mas atau Pak Malik Herman.
Okay, thank you. I think there is some miscommunication between us. Okay, thank you, Mr. Fasil. My name is Malik Muhammad Hermansyah. Uh, First, I want to tell you that I feel sorry about your friend. Second, I want you to know that we stay with humanity. We are Indonesia. Stay with humanity and against any invasion in this world. As you said, that we need to demand Putin to stop. Is that correct, Mister?
We need what?
You said that we need to demand Putin to stop. Is that
Yes.
correct? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So we know that Mr. Putin have the largest nuclear arsenal in the world, and we know it. And I think Mr. Putin will threaten everybody in this world with it, and any West country are concerned about it too, sir. And I think Indonesia is between West and East. My question is, how we can stand about Mr. Putin nuclear threat? Thank you, sir.
Um, it is a simple question for me, actually, because if you think it straightly, we do not trade by countries in change of having or not having the nuclear threat from someone in the world, right? If Putin says, well, now I want Ukraine, tomorrow I want Poland, the next day I would like to have Indonesia, please, because if they not be a part of Russian Empire, I would use nuclear weapons. I mean, you can go endless like this. And it's not the point of trade by the nation, right? Second thing I would like to mention is that I want you to understand what I understand very clearly. The elites of Russian Federation, they don't care about Ukraine. They don't care about Russia. They don't care about world peace and security. They don't care about nothing. They care about the money and the well-being and security of their children, of their grandchildren. They want them to be well off in Europe, in Monte Carlo casinos, in Las Vegas, in London, everywhere. And those people understand that the mad dictator would perhaps try to threaten the world with nuke. But those people are not mad. They are wise. I would say they are bad, but they are wise, right? They understand that if anything like this starts, their children, their grandchildren would not have a future. That's why I'm absolutely convinced that those people would not let him to press the red button, and the red button is not pressed like easy, like this. No, it will require a lot of people involved, a lot of passwords and everything. So this is just a threat. And Russia is not under threat. You know, when there is a nuclear attack on Russia, whatever attack on Russia, that might cause people to think that, well, yes, but now Russia is not under attack, even not under threat. Ukraine is under attack. Ukraine is under threat. So why would Russians use nuclear weapons? I mean, Putin is mad, okay, but not everybody is mad. And the third one is, maybe this is not a good reason for you. The good reason is the following. I was grown up in the city of Dnipro in Ukraine, and this is the city where all the nuclear weapons of the Soviet Union were made, were produced. All the missiles, all the big ones and small ones were produced. So now and then they moved all around the territory. So all those things were produced back in 60s and then 70s. So these missiles are like 50 to 60 years old now. Now these, can you imagine, right? Very specific weapons, very dangerous weapons, 60, 50 years old. What it needs maintenance. Every year, Ukrainian specialist experts used to go to Russia to provide the maintenance for those missiles every year before the 2014. Now, after 2014, no one in Russia can do this, and no Ukrainian specialists, engineers, and the experts, no one went to Russia after this. Now, you imagine the nuclear weapons, nuclear missiles, 60 years old, or with 8 years of no maintenance. Do you believe really that they will dare to start them, to launch them? They will explode in the wells, and it will be the nuclear winter for the half of Russia in this time. So no one would dare to launch them, because, I mean, I repeat, every year, and now it's 8 years without maintenance. The weapons, 50 to 60 years old. Do you believe that anyone, like whoever it is, would launch the missiles like this? If we look at Russian tanks and Russian airplanes and Russian weapons they use in the war against Ukraine, I would say that the percentage of failures, at least it's like 35. So they launch the missiles, 1/3 of missiles don't explode, just stick into the ground. You have tanks, right? The third of tanks doesn't move. If they move, they stop the engine in the middle just for no reasons. This is what happens now in Ukraine. Russian army is a fake. The biggest army, the strongest, second strongest army in the world is a fake. It was believed by even by Ukrainians until the 2 weeks ago. Now we know what it is. It is I would say, scrap metal. So don't believe in Russian army. Don't believe in Russian nuke. It's like, it exists, yes, there are many, but many doesn't mean good, and it doesn't mean it works. Nobody knows what conditions are those nuclear weapons in. So I don't see the point here to be afraid of something like a fairy tale somewhere else. And the real threat we have now is the nuclear power stations under control of the invaders in Ukraine. The Chernobyl station and the one in Energodar, which are under control. The second one is the biggest nuclear power station in Europe, and they are hitting it with tanks, with cannons. This is the real threat. It's not like something that they have somewhere in wells. This is the real threat for the world and for the Europe. And if we don't stop this, this can be the ecological catastrophe for the world. And it's happening now, just right now, right? It's not something in like unforeseeable future. Thank you.
This, ya, monggo, Mas Malik Herman.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Reza. Thank you, Mr. Fasil, for the answer. It's really good about the nukes. But there is still a big question for me, because you said that the nukes in Russia is not really strong or weak. But why, until now, the West countries not react about the full-scale invasion to Ukraine? Thank you. I mean, react in full-scale army or something like that.
You see, Western countries, it is not that they do not react. It is that these countries are not like Russia. They react slowly because they don't want to make mistake. If I tell you that 8 years ago, when Russia attacked Ukraine and occupied Crimea and occupied part of Donbass, why the Western countries did not impose big sanctions on Russia? Because I think they were like analyzing, trying to understand, trying to identify and everything. It's not because they are afraid of anything. Plus, there are factors, of course, of corruption, because Russia that time had a lot of money, and it just corrupted a lot of people in Europe, a lot of leaders who became then the advisors to the Gazprom, the members of the observing board or something, like members of the board of big companies in Russia. That's all that it's clear, it's open, everybody knows this. But why they didn't help? Well, I think this is the matter again of the democracy. I'm sorry to say this, but there is no like a single leader like a king who can say, well, we move the weapons, let's close the sky for Ukraine. It does not work like this, because there are parliaments, and in the parliaments there are people who don't agree with this. There are people in the parliaments who think that there are like nuclear danger, nuclear threat. I think that it's not fair to press like this. It's like has to be negotiated, blah 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 blah. So it's democracies that does not allow do not allow the countries to use military troops or the aviation or anti-air forces to cover Ukrainian skies, for example. The true reasons, I don't know. I mean, it's our war. Everybody understands this is a war against the world, and we are doing what we used to do, what we did already nearly 700 years ago, when we stopped Mongolian army in the border of Europe. So when they moved to Kiev in 1240 and destroyed the Kiev, the biggest city in Europe then, they stopped. They didn't go any further. They made small raids, but they didn't do it like in full scale. So this is what we're doing now. We're stopping another troops of army of Mongolians in our land to prevent it to go to Europe. But Europe, okay, I would lead you to the other direction. Just read the books about the First and Second World War. Simple. The period between the First and Second World War. It was very brief, very short. But just before the Second World War started, many people in the world, many analysts, many intelligence told everyone that it's going to be a war. Hitler is going to hit. Hitler is going to start. But European people were pretty well off. They didn't want to fight. They were looking at the, being happy and, well off in general. And they say, okay, just, you're exaggerating. It's not so bad. After Hitler occupied Austria and Czech Republic and Poland, still there are a lot of people say, oh, come on, these are the, Hitler was protecting German-speaking population of Austria because they didn't want to fight. But now Europe says what? Some people in Europe, I had someone talking this, that now we pay the price of sanctions, but we are ready to pay this price, this small price, to prevent us paying the big price tomorrow. Remember the Second World War. So the shyness of NATO, shyness of some countries that don't want to fight for Ukraine, it's like shyness of some governments in the eve of the Second World War. And it is clear now. And the forecasts are, if this war goes any further for maybe a few weeks, the analysts say that some countries will definitely send troops to participate, because if Ukraine is defeated, which I don't believe, but if, the next object will be any European country on the border, any, absolutely. And not only in Europe, in Asia also, in Caucasus also, like Georgia, like Azerbaijan, like Kazakhstan, like whatever else. So we should stop the monster to prevent the Third World War from happening.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Fasil.